When I met Adrian, loving him felt effortless. He was the kind of man people immediately trusted, calm, confident, attentive in ways that made you feel like the only person in the room. He remembered small details about me that even close friends forgot. My favorite wine, the songs I played during long drives, the fact that I hated sleeping with the curtains open. For the first few months, everything between us felt perfect. Almost too perfect. That should have been my first warning. Adrian rarely spoke about his past. Whenever I asked about family or old relationships, he would smile softly, kiss my forehead, and somehow redirect the conversation before I noticed. At first, I thought he was just private. Then I noticed the locked drawer in his office. It was always closed. Always. One evening, while we cooked dinner together, I casually asked about it. "What's inside the drawer?" His reaction was instant. Too instant. "Work documents," he replied quickly without looking at me. But later that night, I caught him checking to make sure it was still locked. That uneasy feeling stayed with me afterward. Small things started standing out more. The late-night phone calls he took on the balcony, the way he became tense whenever unknown numbers appeared on his screen, the strange sadness in his eyes when he thought I wasn't looking. Still, I loved him enough to ignore it. Until the night everything changed. Rain tapped softly against the apartment windows while Adrian slept beside me. Around 2 a.m., a vibration broke the silence. Not from the phone on his nightstand, from inside the locked drawer. My heartbeat quickened instantly. Carefully, I slipped out of bed and walked toward his office. The drawer wasn't fully closed this time. Inside was a second phone. The screen glowed with a new message. "Does she know what you did yet?" Cold fear spread through my chest. I stared at the words while my hands began trembling uncontrollably, because in that moment I realized something terrifying. The man I loved wasn't hiding a mistake. He was hiding a secret. The message haunted me for days. "Does she know what you did yet?" No name, no explanation, just a sentence that made everything around me feel suddenly unstable. Adrian acted normal afterward. Too normal. He kissed me goodbye every morning, cooked dinner like always, held me close at night like nothing had changed. But now I watched him differently. Every smile felt rehearsed. Every silence felt intentional. And the locked drawer in his office became impossible to ignore. 3 days later, while Adrian was out meeting a client, I finally opened it. The key wasn't hard to find. He kept it hidden inside an old book beside his desk, almost like part of him wanted the truth discovered eventually. Inside the drawer sat stacks of documents, photographs, and hotel receipts tied together carefully with a black band. My pulse slowed as I picked up the first photograph. Adrian stood outside a hotel beside a woman I didn't recognize. The second photo made my stomach twist. It was me. I stared at it in confusion. Rain soaked my clothes while Adrian held me tightly near the same hotel entrance. My face looked pale, frightened, almost lost. But I didn't remember being there. At all. My hands shook as I turned the photograph over. Written behind it in messy black ink were 6 words. "She must never remember that night." A sharp pain suddenly pulsed through my head. Fragments flashed violently through my mind. Rain pouring down dark streets, a hotel hallway, someone screaming my name, then darkness. I grabbed the edge of the desk, struggling to breathe normally. What happened that night? Why couldn't I remember it? And why did Adrian seem so desperate to keep it buried? Suddenly, I heard keys rattling at the apartment door. My heart nearly stopped. Adrian was home early. I shoved everything back into the drawer just as footsteps entered the hallway. Then his voice came calmly from behind me. "What are you doing in my office?" I turned slowly, and the look in his eyes told me immediately. He already knew I had seen everything. After Adrian caught me in his office, something between us changed. He didn't yell, didn't accuse me. That somehow made it worse. For the next few days, he watched me carefully, like he was waiting to see how much I remembered. His kindness became almost unnatural, Flowers arriving unexpectedly, expensive dinners, constant attention that felt less like love and more like distraction. And I realized something terrifying. He was afraid. Then came the late-night business meeting. The moment he left the apartment, I followed him. Rain covered the streets as I stayed several cars behind, my heart pounding harder with every turn. Adrian drove far beyond downtown until he finally stopped outside an isolated hotel near the edge of the city, the same hotel from the photographs. Cold fear settled deep inside me. I watched him enter through a private side entrance before another car arrived minutes later. A woman stepped out wearing a dark coat, her face hidden beneath the hotel lights. But Adrian recognized her immediately. The way he stiffened told me this meeting mattered. I slipped inside quietly after them and followed the sound of voices down a dim hallway near the lounge area. Then I heard my name. "She's starting to remember," the woman whispered urgently. Adrian ran a hand through his hair. "I know. You should have told her the truth years ago. I was trying to protect her." Protect me from what? My breathing became uneven. Then the woman said something that made my blood run cold. "If she remembers what happened after the accident, we lose everything." Accident. Suddenly, sharp flashes exploded inside my mind. Broken glass, blood on my hands, someone collapsing to the floor. I gasped softly before I could stop myself. Inside the lounge, silence fell instantly. Adrian's voice turned sharp. "Did you hear that?" Footsteps moved quickly toward the door. Panic surged through me as I backed away into the dark hallway, my heart hammering uncontrollably. Because for the first time, I understood the horrifying truth. The secret Adrian was hiding wasn't just about his past. It was connected to mine, too. I barely made it home before Adrian. My entire body shook as fragments of memory continued flashing through my mind like broken pieces of a nightmare I couldn't fully escape. Blood, rain, screaming, and someone falling. The apartment door opened quietly 30 minutes later. Adrian stepped inside and froze the moment he saw me sitting in the dark living room. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I finally whispered, "Tell me the truth." Pain crossed his face instantly. "You followed me." "You lied to me," I shot back. "What happened at that hotel?" He closed his eyes briefly like he had spent years dreading this exact moment. When he finally spoke again, his voice sounded exhausted. "There was an accident 3 years ago." The word sent another sharp pulse through my head. "You were there," he continued carefully. "So was I." I stood slowly, anger and fear twisting together inside me. Why can't I remember it? His silence answered before his words did. "Because after that night, you changed." Cold panic spread through my chest. "What does that mean?" Adrian stepped closer carefully, his eyes filled with guilt. "You witnessed something traumatic," he whispered. "Something violent." Fragments exploded through my mind again. A shattered mirror, a man shouting, my own terrified scream. Then another memory surfaced stronger than the others. A gun. My breathing stopped instantly. Tears burned my eyes. Someone died. Adrian looked away. That tiny movement confirmed everything. "Who?" I whispered shakily. The silence stretched too long. Finally, he answered. "Your brother." The room spun around me. I stumbled backward, unable to breathe properly as the final pieces started crashing together inside my head. "No," I whispered. Adrian's voice broke slightly now. He found out something dangerous about the people I worked for. That night at the hotel, he confronted us. Us. Not just Adrian. Others were involved. Then he said the sentence that shattered what remained of my trust completely. "I didn't hide the truth because I stopped loving you," he whispered painfully. "I hid it because I was terrified of what you'd become if you remembered how it really happened. I didn't sleep that night." How could I? Every memory buried inside me was clawing its way back now, piece by piece, destroying the life I thought I knew. My brother was dead. Adrian had lied for years, and somewhere inside those missing memories was the real reason why. Near dawn, I sat alone in the apartment while rain tapped softly against the windows. My head throbbed painfully as flashes continued returning stronger than before. The hotel hallway, my brother shouting, Adrian trying to stop him. Then suddenly, everything came back. I gasped sharply as the final memory hit me completely. My brother hadn't been arguing with Adrian. He was trying to protect me. The mysterious woman from the hotel worked with Adrian and the criminal group tied to him. My brother discovered they were using fake identities and illegal accounts to hide money. That night, he threatened to expose all of them. Then the fight started. I remembered screaming for them to stop. I remembered grabbing the gun first. My hands began trembling violently, and then the gun fired. Tears filled my eyes instantly. Not Adrian, not the woman, me. I had pulled the trigger. The memory shattered me completely. Suddenly, Adrian's voice came quietly from the doorway behind me. You remember now. I turned toward him slowly, barely able to breathe. You knew, I whispered brokenly. His expression collapsed with guilt. I was trying to protect you. You let me believe I was losing my mind. You were traumatized, he said softly. After it happened, you blocked everything out. The police believed it was self-defense, but you couldn't live with what you'd done. Silence filled the room between us. The man I loved had lied, manipulated, and hidden the truth for years. But now I finally understood why. Not to protect himself, to protect me. Adrian stepped closer carefully, his eyes full of pain. I thought if you remembered, he whispered, it would destroy you. Tears rolled silently down my face as I looked at him, because the worst part wasn't discovering his secret anymore, it was discovering mine.